Peace, my name is Daoud Abeid. I'm a Reiki practitioner, um, teacher entering into the realm of Reiki master as of recently. I've been practicing Reiki now for 9 years. It's something that I've got exposed to when I was about 19 years old. My mother got in tune for Reiki, and my stepfather as well. They practice for them it's been about 20 years, over 20 years now, and it's something that I always wanted to do when I became aware of it. I grew up around martial arts, and martial arts has been a big part of my life, and it's always had a spiritual component that dealt with chi and life force energy, and using that energy in your martial art. And then when I learned that there was a way to harness the healing energies, I really saw and learned that that was the balance. You have the self-defense, but then you have the heal. So you can take a life, you can save a life. Reiki is something that I sought out for a very long time, and it took a long time before I actually got attuned or initiated, because I couldn't find a master that I thought was worthy. In the Western world, a lot of the Eastern stuff has been commodified. So you have people selling certificates and doing these crash course initiations, and they give you a little bit, but don't give you enough. So I was searching for many years to find someone, and then a good friend of mine, I was reading a book called The Hindu Sound that deals with sound healing. Basically in Hinduism and Sanskrit, and how the first written language was the first time humans took spiritual things and then wrote them down, and how basically from then on we've dealt a lot with the written word instead of the spoken word, and how the divinity really lies in the sound, so that we have to get back to vibration and understanding energy. And I was talking to a friend of mine from India about that, and she was like, "Oh, you need to speak to my mother. My mother would be interested in this." So she put her mother on the phone because she was in India, and I started speaking to her. We had this conversation. Her mother happened to be a Reiki master, but I didn't know at the time. So later on, we were talking, and I was saying how my mother did Reiki, and I was telling this to my friend, and she was like, "Oh, well, I do Reiki, and my mother's a Reiki master. Maybe when she comes to America, she'll do the initiation for you." So she eventually came, and I had to have dinner with her a couple of times first, sit with her and her husband, and sit with her and her daughter, and eventually she was like, "Okay, I will do it." So I met with her alone, and it was about a full day, like, from early morning till nighttime, and she told me her history, the Reiki history, spoke with me about what it means and how it's practiced in India where she lives, and just really to gain a respect of energy and energy consciousness. Reiki transformed my life. I went from being, a young man who grew up navigating all the challenges of being a young man living in Brooklyn, violence and everything else that exists here. So there's a certain level of closedness that you develop to be able to survive that. And I had that blown wide open. So all of a sudden I was feeling, and my level of compassion expanded, and my level of empathy expanded, and I couldn't really engage the world the way I used to, very nonchalant. I had to deal with what I was feeling and now see people for who they were, and recognize when they were in pain, because I was in pain because they were in pain. Working with shamans and kind of meditating and being exposed to all these spiritual things, I felt the need that a lot of what was out of balance in my community was mental, physical, spiritual wellness. We talk about diabetes and all the different things that people are challenged with physically, but most disease is a manifestation of an energetic disease, or emotional disease. What came to me was that I had to start helping people become more aware of this.